Hey everyone, welcome back to Verified Gains. Happy Saturday. It's very warm here in New York City. Hopefully everybody is having a good weekend so far. Summer is here, but guess what? The Bitcoin market has been absolutely brutal. And let's not even talk about altcoin because if the Bitcoin market is brutal and it's not alt season, then the altcoins are definitely suffering here. Um, let's dive right into the charts. By the way, I was watching my old videos and I used the software to take out the filler words or silences, and I realized that it's actually skipping through the audio. So not just what I mean by that is skipping part of the audio that is not really considered filler words or silences, and it just sounds a little awkward. Sounds as if the video is buffering and um, having a little bit of audio difficulty. So on this video, I'm going to try not to use it. So I apologize ahead of time if there are a lot of, filler words or silences here and there. But maybe it'll actually sound like a proper podcast instead of, like a highly edited video, which is, what I used to do. So, um, I'll try to keep it as little as possible, but I think it's better for the overall flow of the video. So in any case, so what's happened over the past 4 days, which is since my last video? Now by Tuesday, I was a little hopeful that, we would stay above this white trend line that I drew the other day, and things were looking pretty good. And I was hopeful even on Wednesday here. But we ended up actually, breaking through to the downside on Friday. And, right now, this kind of goes back to my video where I talk about, okay, well, even if it's a green candle, if there is a long shadow to the downside, then the markets tend to fill those prices in. Okay. So that is sort of what we're seeing right now. Now it's not exactly 102, right? So we're sort of consolidating around 103, although we did retest those price levels at 102. In fact, the low was 102.3K. Um, but that said, I think, we do have to be a little cautious over here because although we are forming a green candle today, for example, it's very possible that tomorrow could be a red candle and we draw down to 102 once again. Now, that said, um, to me, this is not a horrible pattern. It's very possible that we go up from here, but I'm going to err on the side of caution and say I would not be surprised if we form a red candle once again to the downside towards 102. Um, I don't think there's a whole lot of news coming out. Really, I was disappointed by the federal chair. I mean, holding interest rates steady. I mean, come on now. By now, we really should have lowered the interest rates. And, a lot of you may disagree. Some of you may say, well, if we lower the interest rates, the US economy, the global economy is going down the drain. Well, I disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to do something that we're going to ultimately financially benefit from. And, if you're saying that, oh, I want to hold the interest rate steady because I'm trying to prevent, the US economy going down the drain. Well, okay, well, you have to make a choice in life. It's either you profit greatly from cryptocurrency, okay, under the current regime, or number two, we don't profit from cryptocurrency and you just go on about living your life under the current, economic policy, which really doesn't solve any of your financial problems, by the way. Um, so, my stance may be a little bit of a hot take, but I think at the expense, oh, yeah, okay, maybe that's a very strong statement. But I'd rather be in a position where, as crypto holders can really benefit, okay, from the current regime, and use that profit to survive this economy, okay? Holding the interest rate steady don't really solve any problem. Okay, you might think it does, okay, because you're consuming mainstream media, but in the bigger scheme of things, even if, okay, and this is a very strong statement, even if it's at the expense of a short-term semi-recession, it's better to lower the interest rates, let people profit off of cryptocurrency, and use that profit to revamp the economy. That is what I think. Okay, that is my humble opinion. So, um, and it's okay if you disagree. And many of you will disagree. It's a very hot take. Okay, it's like saying, back in 2008 recession, that if you ever watched the movie Big Short, that scene where Brad Pitt and the two guys from um, what was it called? Like like they have like their little hedge fund, and they're celebrating in the casino because they're going to greatly profit off of the recession. Well, look, in a way, maybe that is what I'm implying. Um, but we won't celebrate, okay? If there is a recession, right? We won't celebrate. We're just trying to find ways to make sense of this current economic state. And I think cryptocurrency is the answer. You have to profit off of cryptocurrency. Otherwise, everybody is going down the drain. Okay? I'd rather have people make money off of crypto and they use that money to help out the community rather than everybody go down the drain. And that's what we're doing with holding the interest rate steady, in my humble opinion. Okay. But that said, the federal chair did also say we're scheduled for two, um, you know, two separate occasions where we're going to lower the interest rate. So I'll be looking forward to that. However, a lot of that is going to happen towards the end of the year, which is, likely after September, like mid-September. And if that is the case, that also does not align with my timeline of when the Bitcoin cycle top is going to be. So really, I was thinking about this. If we were to hit the Bitcoin cycle top by mid-September, then we really should have had the interest rate lowered this past week. So, and that did not happen. It was very disappointing, but we'll see how we move on from here. Very quickly, let's look at Solana. So, I mean, at this point, I'm going to have to change this to a resistance line because, we broke down to the bottom. In fact, we consolidated below $148. We drew down further, right now around 140. We are holding on. Um, and fortunately, let's say that this was the red candle that I'm looking at with the long shadow to the downside. Then we ended up forming a real body, at or below that. And, things are looking good from a technical perspective if we are able to hold around 140. That said, if you don't really bounce back up anytime soon, then we're really looking to retest 126, which is absolutely brutal. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in the crypto community were not expecting this end of June. Sure, May, we were saying, sell in May, go away, but where's the crypto summer that people have been hyping about? We're not seeing that right now. Same thing with Popcat, absolutely brutal. I've been buying on the red days. In fact, I was just looking at my account. I did buy in on the 19th and on the 20th. And look at this now. Huge drawdown once again. So I'm going to have to buy in today. And, in terms of the RSI, we're really heading towards the oversold territory. So, I think a lot of people perhaps who bought in over here, a lot of retail, traders got spooked out and they're probably selling at a loss over here. That's fine. Yeah, for us, we're gonna hold steady, right? Because, if you remember, we were buying in April, or at least I was. And although my average cost for the second wallet, the second time I poured in my capital, is still, below the cost basis is below 26 cents where we are right now. Sure, compared to when we're here, above 60 cents, I'm at a huge loss also. But right now, it's not even a sunk cost fallacy. I'm just bullish on Popcat. The whole market is down. If Bitcoin and Solana were doing well, but Popcat was the only thing that's going down, I'd be a little worried, but that is not the case. So for now, I hold steady. I'm staying calm. I'm continuing to buy in on red days, and we'll see how the market recovers. But that's all the news that I have for today. Basically, I just want to, talk about the markets because, I know some of you may be a little worried about the current situation. I think a lot of it has to do with, the recent news, the ongoing wars globally. And so until next time, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.